Paranormal in Pennsylvania may discuss topics such as suicide, murder, and other potentially upsetting things. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
where we discuss history and haunts.
Today's story takes us to a triangle in the woods. I'm Sarah.
And I'm David.
Let's get into it.
We're going to the Bermuda Triangle?
In the woods.
The woods? Cool. Okay, off we go.
This season, we're being sponsored by our friends at Haunted US. They travel the country bringing you real stories of American hauntings every Thursday at hauntedus.com. So, this is a listener referral, and something we said in previous listener referral episodes was we should write down the username. Thank you, David.
A great idea for me. Killing it.
Cat Mom on TikTok, thank you. We are always open to listener referrals. You can comment on any of our socials, shoot us an email. And so this is the Witch's Triangle of Berwick. And people commented that we should do this after we talked about Hexenkampf Rock, because they have like kind of similar vibes. So there's 3 stories about why this location is haunted and has so much paranormal activity.
Does it have to do with witches?
Yes.
I'm so good at this.
The first one is that it was the location where witches were hung during trial.
Okay.
The other
sounds more of an execution ground, but, go on.
Yeah, I know. But, you know that scene in Hocus Pocus where I feel like we refer to, like, pop culture and we're constantly discrediting and undermining the fact that this stuff is, like, very legitimate to us, but whatever. You know the scene in Hocus Pocus where they're about to hang the witches and they say the spell?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I picture happening here that would lead to it being so paranormal,
Okay. I don't know if it would be like such a nice setup, but
like a triangle?
No, like in terms of like, the gallows.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it was just like the tree. The other theory is that the KKK hung people here.
Oh, well, that got darker.
Yeah, it did. I mean, they could both technically be true because those are very different time periods.
Yeah.
But that's not all. Apparently, there is a house and a barn on the property. And the story goes that a man took his wife and children from the house outside into the woods within this Berwick Triangle and tortured and killed them one by one. And then he hung himself. Common theme.
What, did he have like a realization that what he was doing was very wrong and couldn't live with the guilt? The hanging himself is kind of strange, right?
No, murder-suicides are a thing.
I guess. So when I think of murder-suicides, I think of it being like usually like quick deaths. I haven't looked into many like I don't study them. Yeah. But I always feel like it's bang, bang, and then yourself, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
Not like kidnapping and torturing people. What if
I don't think that that's the weirdest part of the story.
I'm trying to build a fun narrative. Okay. The conspiracy is that it was the witches that were hung him for his misdeeds.
I love that.
I know, right?
I mean, many people do say, locals, that this triangle just makes people go insane and brings out the worst in people.
Oh, that's not fun either.
And there's a lot of really interesting characteristics. That's pretty much all the history because it's basically just this triangle in the woods. But there's quite a great amount of paranormal claims.
A lot of activities that could cause paranormal things. Yes. So, yeah, I believe that.
So again, we covered Hexenkampf Rock this season, and it's very, very similar vibes. People say that there's so much negativity there that it actually affects the trees. Apparently, the trees and plants within the triangle are dead and brown, but the foliage around the triangle is lush. And people claim that you can even zoom in on Google Maps and see this.
That's pretty cool. So, like, a blight or something, right? But why only just to the triangle? Who knows?
And I mean, I'm not a plant pathologist. I did study biology, but for a blight to affect every single organism, it would have to be a very universal pathogen.
Right.
You'd be bound to encounter some plant that could withstand it.
Right. But again, like going back to why just over such a short distance.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very strange. Some people also say that the trees lean in from outside the triangle lean in over the triangle. So it actually is kind of like a 3D triangular prism.
Okay. I'm with you. Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. You wouldn't be able to tell that from Google Maps, though. And people say that there's rarely any wildlife in the triangle. And I mean, that could be because if there's no foliage, but they say that there's plentiful amounts of birds and squirrels and stuff that just stick to the edges and never actually enter.
I mean, aside from like the negative energy that they claim is there, like you said, there's no foliage. So like bird landing on any of the dead trees is still really exposed. There's no foliage to hide in. A squirrel would be in the same vein. And then if all the plants and stuff on the ground are dead too, you're running out in the open to go climb a tree that's very out in the open.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just think put it all together and it's strange.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can at least explain the animals avoiding that part.
Right. And also strange is this is a pretty big area because think about it. There's a house and a barn within it. People still report that while they're in the triangle, they hear the yowling of animals as if the animals are in pain.
Do we know if or when the house was last habitated?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Apparently not for a while. Everything that I found recent says that it's abandoned.
Gotcha. And then, well, obviously the barn is abandoned with it, right?
Yeah.
It's a property. Okay, that's cool. Also dark, because like I wonder, was it theorized that like, the witches lived in the house, or there was just like their grounds? Do we know?
No, so I think it's 3 distinct snapshots in time. There's the witch trials, there's possibly the KKK, and then there's the family home where the father snapped. So the witches didn't live in the house because that's like
Far too back.
Yeah, it's like 300 years later or so.
Okay. Huh. It's still really cool. Really spooky. I'd love to know more about the witches.
I couldn't find a ton on it, but I mean, we do know that there were witch trials in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Even though I don't think many people know that, but like the Witch of Ridley Creek. So strangely, in the absence of wildlife, people report hearing breaking sticks behind them when they're moving through the woods, or just like rustling of dead leaves. So
I would, breaking of sticks, rustling of leaves, not to be like the Debbie Downer here, but that could just be they said there are a lot of squirrels and birds, right? It could easily be those.
Well, you are in the woods. I was thinking like the wind, not breaking sticks, but at least rustling leaves.
Right.
You are outside. But they say that they get the feeling as if something is tracking them through the woods. Like they're constantly being watched.
That can always be a feeling. I don't know if that's like the effect of like you knowing that you're near the triangle. So it's like, you're tricking yourself mentally that you think you're being followed by a spirit. Or is it legitimate that you just can't shake this feeling? Yeah,
that's true. Especially with it being such a place of local legend.
Right.
Yeah. People that have visited have, tried to capture a lot of stuff on media, on recording devices, cameras, video, and there are a ton of EVPs that have been captured. And I only wanted to give examples of the ones that I could find and listen to. So the ones that I could listen to that I heard the same thing that they claim is being said is someone saying, "It's me," like with a long E.
Mario.
Yes. Choke and hit the road. So I think choke makes a lot of sense if there was multiple generations of hangings in the area. It's me could be any spirit. And hit the road could also be any spirit asking you to leave. But I could not think of hit the road, Jack.
Yeah, I know. And just like when you said it's me, I almost once again said Mario.
That's funny.
And like hit the road, it doesn't necessarily. When was that phrase used, like very popularized?
I don't know. I was trying to think of like when was that song from? Because that's probably the era.
I don't know if it is the era necessarily, but
Erica found it.
1960.
1960
was hit the
road jack.
When was that phrase popularized? That'd be an interesting thing to.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been popular in the 1960s, like, you know.
Well, certainly because of the song, but like I don't know if it had been like a popular phrase for many years, or
that's true.
You know, like dialing it back further, or had it been a phrase that existed in a previous context.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because the KKK would be like, you know, 50s, 60s era.
I mean, certainly in the 50s and 60s, but they existed before that.
Well, yeah, but
like long before that.
I'm saying I think the KKK era corresponds with the phrase, you know.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah.
Versus the witch trials.
Yeah. What? Hey, like I said, we don't know. Maybe it had a previous context. Maybe Hit the Road was something crazy during the witch trial.
Hit the Road comes from the informal phrase "hit the trail," which was first used by W.F. Butler in his book Wild Northland,
which was published. Wild Northland.
I'm gonna guess late 1800s, maybe early 19s.
1800s, really?
Yeah, they had books in the 1800s.
Thank you. So, while we're getting that,
right,
there's another claim that I really like.
Okay.
If you take anything from within the triangle, including items from the abandoned house, bad things will happen to you. And I love these. We saw this in Hawaii. We saw this in Fort Mifflin. There was somewhere else that we recently covered.
It's not coming to my mind. I just immediately thought of Fort Mifflin.
Yeah. And there was one first-hand account from an anonymous user that a friend took a magazine from the house and strangely crashed their car immediately when they got out of the triangle. And they said that the friend seemed completely in control. It was as if something like dragged the car almost into a tree.
Wait, how large is this triangle?
Big.
Okay, that makes more sense because now that you said drive out of the triangle, you know, I'm thinking of not a very large triangle, like next to a field, small, or like somebody's like backyard size.
Well, no, because it has the house and the barn in it.
Within the triangle itself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's putting this far in more perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought it was clear. Did you figure it out, Erica?
Oh yes, prior to 1923.
Okay.
Early 1900s.
1923. Okay, so but I'm still going to give it the KKK era distinction.
I mean the era. I guess like how you define the era of KKK, but like they were certainly around in the 50s as well.
What I'm saying is, if we are separating this into three eras, the witch trial era, the KKK era, and the family homestead era, the phrase likely comes from when this was the site of the KKK hanging. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying the KKK only existed when this phrase was used.
Okay.
I'm saying specific to this location.
This location.
If we are separating it into three eras.
Okay, I'm with you.
The eras tour. Berwick Witches Triangle version.
I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I was like, what? Why do you think that I'm?
Well, I'm almost like I was like, Sarah, like they did exist before the 1950s, and I'm like, I'm sure you know this, but I'm like, we seem to be mismatching just a little bit here.
You're like, I don't want to say that you're dumb on this podcast, but.
But you're looking kind of stupid.
But really. No. So yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's interesting, the idea you can't take anything out from it. It's almost like at Hexenkampf Rock that all this negativity is just like stuck in this triangle in this area, and the negativity is following you if you leave.
No, I guess like what if we like flip the script on the idea of like it being really concentrated? What if it's being held there?
Oh, like it's kind of creating like a time vacuum or something,
like it's being like
preserved.
It's like being forced to stay there rather than being able to like go out, like a containment.
Misunderstood. I see. Yeah, that's kind of a cool theory.
Yeah, what if we like flip the script, and what if the witches aren't bad people? They're just like trying to contain the
I'm not saying the witches are bad people.
Well, they're usually portrayed as negative.
Yeah, I think that's to people that aren't like us.
But
these were probably innocent people that were just hung without just cause.
Oh, for sure. And they probably weren't even like Wiccan.
Right.
Mostly. Well, you never know. But yeah, they were definitely the hang and ask questions later type of people.
Yeah, like the Witch of Ridley Creek was given a citation because she bewitched farm animals.
And as to what that means, we probably will never know.
Hi, listeners. We're so excited to tell you about our partnership with Haunted US. Haunted US is an online publication that brings you credible articles on the history and specific paranormal claims of haunted locations across the country. We've even used them to research some of our episodes. Visit hauntedus.com for new haunted places every Thursday.
So there are also paranormal links with the historical stories associated with the site. So that's why I keep saying like different eras of the Berwick Triangle. So people have reported seeing children walking through the woods alone, which seems to correspond with the last era of the triangle when it was a homestead. I know you hate children's spirits.
Because there's no guarantee it's a child spirit.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's appearing very innocent and such and trying to lure you to it. Sometimes. Is that really a child ghost, or is that something far more malevolent?
See, I don't think that this is masquerading, though. I think this one literally sounds like the spirit of the children that were killed running through the woods.
Yeah, either way, it still would probably unnerve me a little bit.
I mean, definitely unnerving, especially because you're right. If you see like a child walking alone in the woods, you'd be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Try to follow it. Now you're at the mansion, and I don't know that it's a mansion. Now you're at the house, and now you have to remember not to take anything. And yeah,
and then the door shuts behind you, and then it's game over, man.
And it's game over, man. People have also reported seeing footprints going through either snow or like wet dirt, only going one direction. So they'll see footprints going to the house or coming from the house, but not going both ways.
So that would be interesting to see, like, if there was a video of it where they like go to the perimeter of the house and see if there's like, unless there's only one entrance and exit to the home, then it could be that somebody just used a different exit.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But if you like walk the perimeter, there's no other set of footprints. Either there's somebody still in that house, which either way, probably not going to be your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or, it was a spirit.
That's something that I thought. Like, if I saw a set of footprints going in one direction, rather than go investigate if there was someone in the house, I'd just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, a living person hiding out in this house in the woods is way scarier than the spirit of the children.
Yeah, because you don't know what that person will do or what their state of mind is, but children ghosts also pretty. I mean, like you brought me like to a would you rather situation there, and I'm not sure I want to pick either answer.
Oh my gosh. So the other thing is people report hearing children giggling.
Yep. No.
But when they turn, nothing's there.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's, normally it's like, okay, could this be someone else? But I think because this is this isolated area in the woods, this must be paranormal. Unless you just happen, for all of these accounts, that there's children also in the woods.
Yeah, it would also be interesting to see from like an aerial perspective where like the nearest like park or something is. Like, is there in a park that's adjacent that there could be like little kids running around? I guess it depends how young the kids sound, right? Like,
right. And from everything that I saw, it's a bit of a distance to get here, so I think it's really isolated.
Probably not just like a park over yonder.
Yeah. And people also report that they hear stomping throughout the house, even when they seem to be in there alone, and that they see glowing eyes throughout the woods.
Glowing eyes, I don't know, that could be fireflies.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I thought about phone lights, if there's like other people there, or flashlights. If like Because if you cast a flashlight beam and it's distorted in any way, but fireflies is a really great point.
Yeah, I would imagine maybe that's fireflies, but if they're like holding steady and just staring at you, we'll see that they're glowing. It makes me think like not an animal. Also be very, like, it's not great if you stumbled upon two eyes that are staring at you.
Yeah. And with the stomping in the house, again, not to be too Debbie Downer or skeptical, but I do wonder if it's possible that there's animals in the abandoned house and it's not like stomping, but just like they're knocking something over or they're jumping, etc. You know, I think I would want to hear it for myself. Is it really, really the distinct sound of stomping, or could it be explained by another sound?
Well, right. It's not like it's a home where people live where they're like, no, we don't think we have raccoons in the attic, but right. But in this case, it's like, well, nobody's lived here. There might be raccoons or take your picture of furry creature in the attic.
Yeah, I agree. And then the final like auditory report that I found is people report hearing this sound as if someone is choking, and that when they hear that sound, they feel like someone's pulling, like tugging on their collar.
That's interesting. Like help or?
No, I took it in as like tightening their collar. Like, you know.
Okay.
Like, I think because of the way men's collared shirts are for you, it would have to be here. But imagine like if someone pulled the back of my collar in like a sweater like this, like it would cut off my windpipe. And that could be any of the different eras. Yeah.
What was oh man, we covered a place where it was reported that you would
Alfred Sally.
Say again?
Alfred Sally, where the spy was hung and you would feel like you're choking.
Yes, Alfred Sally.
So I think that one makes a lot of sense, and that's definitely could be a manifestation of any of these things.
Yeah, if people have been hung there throughout the years, it could be any number
of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, knowing what you know about the Witch's Triangle of Berwick, which it's called the Witch's Triangle by the locals, but it seems like that was only a little piece of the story.
But that's what started it. Like that's the name it's always been.
That's true.
I get why it's called that, but I also hear what you're saying.
Yeah, like it seems like it's more haunted by spirits than like witches per se.
Other than like the triangle itself.
That's okay. Like maybe that's what it is. Like there's a curse upon the triangle.
Right.
Yeah.
That you don't normally get from a spirit.
Yeah. But knowing what you know, would you visit this place of paranormal phenomena?
I would visit, yes.
Any qualifiers?
No.
You go at night, you would sleep there?
I guess it would depend on what time of year to sleep there, but like I would probably want to sleep in a tent and not try to like sleep in that house.
Yeah, I mean, that comes down to like safety. I don't.
Well, yeah, because I think that, mold, there's a lot of like health reasons as to why not to sleep in that house rather than, saying, screw it. Like we'll risk it for the biscuit.
I don't know. This one is interesting to me. I would go once and I would like to do an investigation here just to see what we could get, see if we could communicate with any of the spirits. But it definitely gives me some hesitance because I just think areas like this that are potentially such a source of negativity, I'm really hesitant to go into them. And I was thinking, like, they do try to discourage people from going, it's my understanding, but I wondered if we could not dress up like we're hiking, but we hike it and have like our hiking backpack and stuff, and then if we did end up running into anyone, we could say like, oh, we are just hiking the area.
Yeah, definitely get rid of our plausible deniability by saying it on the podcast. Just saying.
That's true. Oops. No. But, I mean, that would be one way that I would consider doing it. Or just go up and if someone says, please, like, go away, it's private property, then we do. Because I didn't see if it was private property, just that locals like to discourage people from going there for, like, vandalism.
Oh, yeah. I mean, respect the places you go.
Yes, obviously.
It goes without saying.
Yeah. Right.
But and if that's the reason, then I feel like we could still definitely go we are respectful people, just be respectful of the places. I don't like. It sounds like the locals, if they knew who we were, would be far more okay with it than just a random group of people.
I agree. You know, if we say we're a paranormal investigating team, we take into account the history in our investigations, etc., it would be a lot more likely that they would be okay with us going. But yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's one of the more interesting stories that we've seen because of how the environment is affected with it. Because even when we talked about Hexenkampf Rock, they said people thought you would get sick if the wind blew past the rock, but here it really is like there is a blight, like you said, in the triangle.
I wonder if it is just, I mean, like, if I had to try to put an explanation, I wonder if the soil is just hyper acidic there for whatever reason.
That's literally what I was going to say. I would really almost want to take samples of the area, like see if there's any microbes growing that are affecting the area or the soil, etc. But I would be nervous to even swab plates.
Right. Well, the question though still comes down to, why is it still a triangle? Like, if it's a blight, what caused it to stop right there at the triangle?
Yeah, that's true.
And even like soil composition doesn't really explain that either.
Yeah.
Right? Because it wouldn't have clear-cut boundaries like that. I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I'm not a geologist by any means. Or
plant pathologist.
Well, in terms of like both. Soil composition?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know both. I think that falls under geology. Don't quote me.
But yeah, I guess in terms of would I go to this place of paranormal phenomena, yes, but I definitely wouldn't take anything, even microbial samples.
Yeah, we've never said like, oh, I can't wait to take like yoink a souvenir from this haunted place and see what happens. Except me, if we go to Fort Mifflin, I'm going to put it in Erica's bag. No, we are not going to do that. Respect. I think it's interesting. Any final thoughts? No. I just thought I would go. Yeah. So that is the story of the Witches Triangle of Berwick Witches Triangle, however you want to say it. Let us know if you have any personal accounts of paranormal happenings here. There was a ton of people who said that they visited. And if you have any referrals of places you'd like us to cover, reach out to us. Like I said, socials, email, etc. We're always checking what you guys want us to cover. And we find some really cool stories like this one through you guys. And thank you for watching this week's episode of Paranormal in Pennsylvania. Tune in next Thursday to see what history and hauntings we discuss next. Stay spooky.